that. And then Friday nights, when we're not racing the Lightning Sprint, I'm either racing the Mod Light, if I still have it, or the B Mod, or we've got a super stock that I'd love to be able to race full time next year. That it'll be at least one other car, one way or the other, plus the Lightning Sprint.
Productions. Follow us on Facebook. Go like and subscribe on YouTube. We're here with Psycho Ed Griggs today. That's how I know him, the number 47. We're going to learn a little bit about Ed today and find out when he started racing, what got him into it, and what kind of plans he's got. Get to know him a little bit. Well, how long have you been racing, Ed?
So, that picture back there is it's actually probably the very first weekend of racing. That's 1993 at the old Sweet Springs racetrack. That was what they called a modified midget at the time, which is basically a micro sprint now.
Yeah.
So that's the first race car I've ever been in. It hadn't even been numbered or lettered or anything to change for me. We got it, and my dad and I loaded up and went there and never been on circle track, and we made it through the first night, and I think the second night, I think we got in a wreck, and it wasn't really my fault, but I wasn't super competitive or anything.
Right.
That's how I learned how to race.
Learned how.
Yep.
How long did you spend in that thing?
I ran those for just a couple years. So I ran them up in Nebraska a lot. It was a really big class up there too. So we raced up there for maybe another year after that, and then we got them modified.
What made you get into the sprint car to begin with?
So I'm from Nebraska, from Lincoln, which that's sprint car state, and my dad raced sprint cars.
Okay.
When I was little, I was a few weeks old going to the sprint car races, traveling around with my dad and people that were up there, Lonnie Jensen and Don Maxwell, and all the people up there, Doug Wolfgang. I got to hang out with some of those people when I was really, really little. And then when I got old enough to race, my dad didn't have a sprint car anymore, so I just timing-wise, it didn't work out. To be honest, you couldn't even go in the pits until you were 16 up there. It wasn't like it is now, where you could be a 10-year-old out there racing, unless you had something like that. So
right.
It was quite a few years. I street raced and drag raced a little bit, and finally decided I borrowed money from my 401k at my work and bought that car and trailer, and we went to racing. So just random out of the blue, found a deal on a car, and I was a friend of my dad's car.
Well, 32 years later, it didn't take long to get you hooked, did it?
Oh no, it was the worst thing I probably ever did. Yeah, gave me something to do, didn't kill a lot of time and a lot of money.
Right. Beats the hell out of a drug addiction.
Yeah, it's pretty close to the same thing. It's probably better than on the body, but.
I've been watching you race probably 5 years now, and I've always known you to be the number 47.
Yeah.
You got 45 on this car here. What was your number you started with, and how did we get to the 47?
So when we had that car, like I said, that was the guy I bought the car from's number. My dad was number 2 when he raced. He was number 33 originally, and then he was number 2. We ran that car there, and I think I put a 2 on it to be with my dad, and then I found out you can't run that. It was a national series, so you had to be top 2. Number 1 was number 1, like the motorcycles are. You had number 1 plate, number 2. So we had to change my number right away, and we made it 41 for a little bit, and then when my wife and I got the first modified, we just hand painted everything, so we wanted the number to be as quick and easy as possible. So we used the 4, and then I added a G to it, and I showed up at tracks. I didn't even know who Gary Clark was.
Right.
So I showed up at tracks, and they're going, Gary Clark's here. They see it on the sign in there or whatever.
Seeing the 4G.
I was like, no, man, I'm not nothing to compare to Gary Clark. I don't want to do that. I felt bad. So then I made it 47, and then Andy Claiborne. So I did the same thing to him. I was
right.
like following all the Dirtworks guys. So I was 47 for a long, long, long time. And there's not really a reason necessarily. I mean, 7 was always my favorite number. You know, one of my favorite drivers raced number 7. So I've just been 47. I mean, the late model, all the modifieds and stuff like that, the whole doors I got were 47.
Just something that kind of happened and then stuck around.
Yeah, it's like this car here is a 4. This is this is still Sean Sanders's wrap and stuff on it, but I've ran 4 for a long time myself, so it's kind of an easy number. Like I said, I'm 100% committed to running the Lightning Sprint next year.
Okay.
For Bob Douglas for Rod Supply.
Okay.
So that'll be my primary. And I ran those cars one time, and I won the very first night in it. You know, when I got tore up at Warrensburg with the Mod Light, and it wasn't raceable. He offered me a ride. I won in at that night. I beat Bobby Lane, and it was awesome. You know, to beat one of my heroes.
Right.
You know, especially in those cars. He was so fast, and we had an awesome race back and forth. You know. And I never won anything in those, but I ran them a lot. But the Lightning Sprint's going to be my focus next year, pretty much.
So how many wins do you think you've got in your career?
I didn't win anything for 20 years racing modifieds, and then my first win was at Nevada in a Mod Light, and I won I think 4 times that year in the Mod Lights, 2 in a new car and 2 in an old car I had, and then I think around 70 wins since then across the Mod Lights and the stock car and the random other things that I've driven, dwarf cars and things like that.
Yeah, you've raced a lot of different cars.
Yeah.
Don't be shocked if you show up somewhere and see a 47 on something and it's Ed Griggs.
We ran the Crown Vic and stuff a couple times this year. You know, I mean, Brandon's just. Luckily, I have good people like Josh Crump helping. You know, I don't drive all my own stuff. There's no way I can afford to have all those cars, but. You know, with Josh being able to, I've raced his Mod Light, I've raced his A mods before, I've raced his B mod, obviously the super nice stock cars that we've had, pure stocks, and now the Crown Vics and stuff like that too. So, I mean, having good friends. I mean, I've driven for a lot of people, and you know, it's kind of fun being able to show up in something I've never been in.
Right.
And I think I can compete, you know, for the most part with it, and generally do, you know. So it's. Whether it's the dwarf cars from my buddies in Texas or, you know, driving Mod Lights for other people and stuff like that. So I'm not afraid of getting any car racing. The only thing I haven't raced is a full-size sprint car. I've owned it, but I've never got to race it.
Yeah, you had one and had it for sale
Yeah, and I just drug my feet and didn't have any help, you know, really to commit to go run something like that, but I had it, and just too much for one person. I just got back out. It was probably a good idea. When I say I had one, a really nice one.
Yeah, it was a really nice car too. I guess the sprint cars scare me. You know, everybody knows them as tumble buggies, and that's my fear. Is I've been racing enough that I'm going to go out here and I'm going to try to let it all hang out. And when it goes wild in one of them, you're upside down.
Well, that's what these are. I've been upside down 7 or 8 times in these cars, and then a couple times in a little midget like that, and by far getting upside down in one of those is the hardest hits I've ever had.
Well, one of my favorite races is a USRA Nationals race in that stock car you and Josh had.
Oh yeah.
And then one of the worst races I've seen was you in a Mod Light at the IMCA Nationals.
Oh yeah.
How many rolls did you take there?
Well, that was like the first corner of the first lap on a fresh car.
What track?
So
At Boone Speedway at the IMCA.
Oh, when was that?
your first night there?
No, I've been there before.
No, I mean that week.
Yes, yeah, that week, yeah.
So you roll up, you unload the car, and you go to the track for the first lap.
Turn and bicycle it and knock the rear clip off of it that we had just put on it. So I just loaded up, and I'm not one of those people when I get to the racetrack. I'm by myself, so if it's major damage, I'm going to load up and go home. It just isn't worth it. When I've usually tried to, my luck's going in that bad a streak, I probably should just cut bait and load up and go.
Take what you got and go get it back right.
Yeah. But that one didn't hurt. It hurt the car, but it didn't hurt too bad. You know.
So you've been, obviously a lot of modified racing, little late model racing, street stock, super stock. What do you think is probably your favorite car to drive?
To be honest, probably the USRA stock car. At this day, you know, where I'm at in my life right now, those cars were by far the most fun. They don't hurt as bad. You beat on them a lot, you know. I mean, that was probably the frustrating part, is getting sheet metal damage every night, but that's racing, you know. But
Yeah, but
it was fun competing
them guys
cars.
3 wide.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
then 3 wide all the time.
Yeah.
First, second, and third rows 3 wide.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, we've had some 4 and 5 wide racing up at Lakeside. You know, it was like, I think I'm going to make it, and then there's a car coming around me on the outside. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! There wasn't room. For
How
you.
can we squeeze?
Yeah. So
How can we squeeze
They're-
this
they're-
in? But that's what makes it great racing.
It
And them
is.
stock cars are the best racing to watch,
I
hands
agree.
down.
At any track you go to, they generally would put on the best racing. Like, an IMCA stock car or a USRA stock car, I think the 8-inch tires are such an equalizer. They're so even, you know. It comes down to driver skill, and I think that's the most fun if you can do that. You know?
Right.
These cars are the quickest and are a blast to drive, but I think from where I am now, the stock cars was the most fun I've ever had in a race car. And don't have to go as fast. You don't have to be the fastest car on the track.
Right.
You know, the class to put on the best racing for sure.
Right.
You see the sprint cars in some of those races are boring to watch, you know, but they're going 130 miles an hour. They're
Yeah,
amazing.
it's awesome how fast they're going, but they're immediately miles apart.
Exactly. Stock
I
car,
mean-
you don't get separated in a stock car.
Right. The leaders coming by lapping guys so fast that if they make a wrong move, you know, it's a terrible night at the racetrack.
Yep.
So, yeah, I can see.
They're the most fun. It's, like I said, it's not cheap either. You know, they're super expensive cars, but you know what racing is cheap anymore? You know, nothing's cheap. But for the bang for the buck, and I think, like you said, I think the people enjoy the racing. I mean, we don't go just to race for ourselves. We go to have people cheering and enjoying the race, you know. And
right.
like we raced at Urbana in the stock car, and I swear that the environment there, when you're at Urbana and when we were in the stock car, you're going down the backstretch and all the people are standing right up by the fence, cheering you on, you know. You could see it, and you could hear it, you know. It was amazing, you know.
It's a different feeling.
Yeah,
Getting your blood
yeah,
flowing.
It is. It's just like it's like a Super Bowl for for football players. You get all amped up. You know,
I've
you're
heard
racing.
guys say that
Oh,
in
yeah.
a race car,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you can hear the
Yeah,
crowd
you can feel
over
it.
your car,
Yep.
that it's just the most amazing,
Yep.
hair-raising.
That's why we do it. It's an adrenaline. You don't do this for anything other than the sheer adrenaline. I mean, that's
Right.
all it's about.
I can guarantee you, after that happens, you're getting all the throttle.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, probably too much.
Probably. So 70 wins, man, that's a lot of wins. That's a lot of cars, you know, with wins for a driver. There's guys that can drive anything, and then there's guys that can drive one thing. And so that's kind of a feat to have wins across several.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like I said, I didn't have any success forever, you know, in the modifieds. I mean, I raced at Adrian, you know, in '95 basically when we got a modified, and Warrensburg, and I think the best I ever ran at Warrensburg was a 7th, and I felt like a win, you know, when we had 50 modifieds there or whatever. And I think I ran 3rd at Valley one night to Bobby Lane, you know, and I felt like I was winning that night, you know, but
Right.
I didn't really do very well on him. I don't know what it was about the Mod Lights. Getting in a car that I knew was good and I knew was fast and was confident, and knowing that a change, you could feel the change in a car, you know, start to figure out how to set them up and stuff like that. I learned a lot in these cars, and I don't know what it is, but after driving these, if you could drive and do well in one of these, you can probably drive anything. I mean, you know, it's not like a sprint car or something like that, but like I said, they're on edge and they're super fast and twitchy. If you can handle one of these, you can drive anything else to the edge. You know?
Right. So do you think that the Mod Light is the reason that you carry that confidence across classes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I remember driving in the stock car the first night, going down to Lucas Oil, driving into the corner and not realizing how much more speed I could carry than somebody else after being used to one of these, and having to get all over the brakes and accidentally hitting somebody, you know, it's just
driving off in there like a new guy.
Why are we slowing down? You know, yeah, these will hurt your confidence and they'll gain it, when you're running good. But,
Right.
like I said, if you can drive one of those, you can drive most anything.
Confidence is such a huge part of
It is.
racing. I mean, it's not just dirt racing, all racing. I
Well,
mean, it's
it can overcome a little bit of an ill-handling race car if you got the confidence, you know what to do to make it drive a little different,
Right.
May not be perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect.
yeah.
The good drivers, I think, can win in halfway decent cars.
Right.
It's hard now at the top levels because there's so many guys that have top-notch everything, and
Yeah,
they're such good drivers too.
I think
but-
that even a great driver, there's certain things that if you don't have, you're just not going to compete. Shocks. Not that you won't compete.
Yeah, you ain't gonna win consistently, but
Right.
you might hit it.
Right. Running top fives isn't necessarily competing.
Not necessarily. Not anymore. It used to be when you had 20 or 30 cars in a class, but if there's 10 cars and you're a top 5, and I've
3
been fighting
seconds
that.
behind the leader.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not really competing
You're
anymore.
not in the race. You're just in line. As sad as that is.
You're racing the time, basically. It's like, I need 2/10 or I need 3/10. Well, it didn't matter where I was at, finish order.
Right.
It's how much faster do I need to be?
Sometimes I hate timing because of that.
I know.
I feel like don't worry about where you're timing. That guy's faster than you. You gotta be getting in it where he ain't.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you can do to get around him. Be faster than him. Grab another gear.
Yeah.
Oh, they're running a 6.0. Oh, well, we're gonna run a 580.
You got to figure out what it needs.
Go faster
Yeah.
than the other guy. Never mind the time.
Do you have any kids or grandkids that are wanting to kind of follow in your footsteps as a dirt track driver?
So I have my daughter who's 25 years old, and I had 2 Mod Lights for a while. We got her all set up to kind of race, and then keeping the 2 cars up and running at the same time never worked.
Nearly impossible.
For one person to do it by himself, so I'd have one car going, and I'd be getting ready to get the other car going, and then the other car would have a problem, so I'd have to fix it. I raced 2 different cars for a little while there. And sometimes it was because I had to have rear clips done or whatever, so it wasn't ever meant to be. My daughter's fearless. She's been on 1,000cc 4-wheelers at 8 years old, screaming up and down here. We wanted to get her in a Crown Vic or do something like that at some point. I think she'd have fun. I'd love to be in a 2-seater and have her driving so I can yell at her while we're racing too.
Coach her.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she wouldn't like that, but it'd be fun for me.
Yeah, when you're strapped in, she can only swing.
Yeah. So I don't know. Probably never to the level what I've done anyway necessarily, but it'd be fun to get her in a car.
Yeah.
For sure. I think she'd have fun.
Right. We'll get her at least take the Crown Vic to an Enduro or
Oh, I
something
know. Yep.
and do that. They have a lot of fun doing that, it looks like.
Yeah, it is fun.
So all these wins in 32 years, you got any championships?
Won national championship in a Mod Light. I won the 2019 national championship, so it was before IMCA. So the way it worked back then is they had national races all over the country. And that year, I think I ran almost 70 nights, and then from Florida to Arizona.
Wow.
To Texas to Iowa. I think I drove 17,000 miles, and they took your best points from all those races and added it up. So you needed to hit all the races, but you also had to race against the best people in the country everywhere you went.
Right.
Now it's regional racing or whatever. You got to get a lot of wins, and you got to go to nationals and stuff too. But when I did it, it was racing against the biggest dogs everywhere that you went to. And, it was fun going to Arizona. I needed to go there to cinch it up, and I remember one of the guys down there saying, you had this, but it's too bad you're not going to be here. So I was in the parking lot, and I took a picture of the sign. I was like, I am here. And I won one night and second place the other night, and it was enough to get me national.
To tie it up. That's a big deal.
I thought it was. To me, it didn't mean as much then. It wasn't as much behind it. We had our Stars Mod Lights. It was a national group, but I got a nice belt, one of the World Wrestling Federation belts, and a couple tires. It's not like it is now for IMCA where you get a whole bunch of stuff at the banquet. And,
Right.
They make it worthwhile. for these
Yeah.
guys, you know.
Right.
I think I finished 8th this year in the nation in the Mod Light.
Lots of different cars and classes and stuff. What do you think is your favorite track? Or do you have a different track for a certain car or?
I don't know the 81 Speedway in Wichita in the Mod Light was probably the most fun. And that was, to me, before they converted it.
It's
You
like
know,
a super speedway for Model
it
I's,
is.
isn't
It's a fast track, but it was always multi-groove, and you go down there and race against the best Kansas guys there is, you know. And I've got a race that when we were there that I won, that I got a cement car with. USMTS was there that night too, and by time I'd have been 4th in the USMTS race. That's how fast the Mod Lights were there that night.
Wow.
But it was running the bottom in 3 and 4, run the top in 1 and 2, and the banking of it was just perfect. In a Mod Light, that was probably my favorite, but Lucas Oil's still probably my favorite track to race at, and it's probably, I don't have any success at it, you know, other than some almosts, but it races like a big track, you know. You're not going 130 miles an hour or nothing like that, but it
Right.
feels the sensation of speed at that place. And I'm getting older where it's harder to see as much as, you know, so having all those lights,
All the bright lights.
really, really helps. And
Yeah.
it's so far away from us, you know, but it's such a fun racetrack, you know, so clean and everything with the pits. It's probably still a goal to get a win there somehow, some way.
Right.
It's probably the most fun I've been to. To be honest, Lakeside in the stock car is probably one of the most fun I've ever had in a stock car. When the cushion was right at the wall and you're basically scraping the wall with the right rear corner all the way around, that's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fun. We do that in the Mod Light too, but it's not fun.
It's not fun. That's way too close.
It's way, yeah, they're going way too fast. Stock car, you think you're going fast, but it was always probably my most fun in the stock car for sure. So I had those tracks. Like I said, I have different favorite tracks depending on the car I'm in for sure.
Right,
you know,
right.
Electric City's fun. It's a fast place too. It's hard to pass. You know, it's very technical. You know.
He's making a little bit of changes
He
too,
is.
I think,
He is.
to
Yeah.
accommodate that.
I
And
agree.
if it goes like I think it's gonna, that track might get faster.
Yeah, yeah, and it is, like I said, it is a very fun and competitive track as well. Just haven't had as much success there maybe as I have in some of the other places. But I don't know, a little bit of everything. I got to race Eagle, Nebraska in the Mott Light, and that, like I said, I grew up going to that place with my dad. To get there, man, I wanted to win so bad. I think I ended up 3rd or 4th instead, you know, and so it was a little disappointing.
But you got to go race
I got to
there.
go, and it was a blast. To go to these, you know, these storied places, you know. We think we have some old tracks here, which, you know, we do go to a few areas, but you go to some of these other places, and those tracks have some history. You know,
Right.
81's an old track. That's an old, they got a lot of history there, Eagle and stuff like that. So
Right.
they're not 20 years old, they're 50 years old.
Right.
You know.
Well, for a couple of years now, I've heard you talk and mentioned about slowing down and getting older, but I ain't never heard you talk about retiring, quitting racing.
I don't know if I can. It'd have to be something that would be really, really fast in this shop.
To
Like
get you away from the
Yeah,
single
I
track.
mean, like a drag and drive car or something like that. That's probably the only thing I'd consider getting out of this for. I drag raced before. You know, when I drag raced, it wasn't super fast stuff, but it's hard to beat the adrenaline rush of this.
Well, the letdown of dirt racing, I feel like it just makes it an easy sport to quit.
Well,
And-
it's so
and
expensive
when-
and it takes so much time.
You know, when you drive to Boone and you unload a car and you roll it and you load the car and you drive home, but it's not just that. It's
Yeah.
the little things. It's the $5 park.
Oh, yeah.
It's I drove to Tennessee and I missed this and now I'm driving home. And it was
Plus
a
fuel
30-second
filter or whatever,
fence,
yeah.
or a $17 fuel filter, or
Yeah.
how do you get past all that? How do you keep going?
I don't know. He said, asked if I've retired. I've quit a lot. But you know how that is.
Yeah.
You quit and try to sell everything out, but you save just enough that if you want to buy another car, you can buy it.
I don't think you've made it that
yeah.
I've seen you carless. I don't think you've made it out of the same week.
So we put this shop up 20 years ago, and it's never not had a race car in it.
Right.
Might have had different race cars in it, but it's never not had one. And I think I've quit and sold a race car, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do next week, and then found a race car to go buy and came back. So I don't know. I don't know that I'll retire completely, but I've slowed down. I don't run near as many races, and it's not because I don't want to. It's just because I don't have any help. Used to be that we'd have 5 or 6 people that would go race. So it was a lot. Even if I wrecked or something, there'd be 4 or 5 other people there that I could help, or that could help me get the car back together. Now that's what would make it easier to retire. Is I don't have the camaraderie that we used to have. To go race and travel. Yeah, it's not the same. You still got people that you hang out with at the racetrack. But with these cars, the fun in this car was to be able to load it in a trailer and drive 10 or 12 hours and go race. And I met so many people on social media through this class that it made it worthwhile to go do those things,
Right.
But now it's harder to get away. I could still go, but when you're driving 10 hours by yourself somewhere, it's like, why am I doing this? You get there, it's fun.
Right.
But it's just that getting over that little hurdle to do it. So I don't know. I could see myself racing another 10 years easy, especially if I got in something that didn't hurt or wear the body out as much.
Right.
But
do you think so getting in a sprint car in 26?
Yeah, that one doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's going to be easier to drive?
No, it's not. It's just a different challenge.
But you're up for it.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it's not a full-size sprint car, but it's as close as I'll probably ever get to afford or have a chance to do.
Is that challenge maybe part of what keeps you going?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, these are challenges. I mean, not all of them are challenges, but that's just something else to go do. I like to show that I can race and compete with whoever I'm racing against. It doesn't matter what class it is. If it's a pure stock or a Crown Vic, I'm going to beat you.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Sometimes when I pull up to the racetrack, when I look around at the people, and this has happened at Butler, I think to myself, I'm like, man, there's quite a few older guys around here, and there ain't as many younger guys. But at the same time, as an older guy, the game's getting younger.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's what's kind of sad a little bit. Is that there's not as many young people that are doing it. There's not as many people that even want to offer help that are younger, and I think it's kind of always been that way. I could say I never had any help. To be honest, I probably was never somebody that really wanted to help.
Right.
I'd rather do it myself for the most part. But it sure makes it more fun when you're traveling or teaching somebody something about the cars. I'm one of those people that if somebody asks a question, I'll answer the question. And I'd rather teach somebody, that might want to go buy a car, so we can have more cars.
So we can have more.
Have more people.
Right. There's not becoming more of us. There's less of us.
Yeah, exactly. It's so expensive for people to do anymore, so I can understand why it's not growing as much as it should. You got the Crown Big class that should be 50 cars there, in reality, because everybody can afford one of them, to be honest. So those kinds of things I think will help. If you can get people into those, maybe then they'll get a pure stock, or they'll get a Midwest model,
Right.
they'll get it,
Right.
Most people can't just never race before
And go do it.
and go do that.
Right.
It's
It's
too big,
hard to
too
do.
expensive, and it's too, no experience. So I like the fact that these places are getting those classes going. I don't like having 10 classes of cars at the track.
But at the same time, if it's bringing people
We need
in,
that.
that's what I say. Listen, it sucks to sit through 10 classes, and sometimes the racing kind of stinks.
Yeah.
But
We need it.
damn it, that guy out there doing it, he don't know no different. He worked his tail off to get it just the same as the guy in the modified.
Yeah.
I mean, you still got to be out there taking care of stuff.
And they're probably having more fun than half the other guys out there. So,
It's just as big a fight,
yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
It is. It's not. No, it's not a race car, and it doesn't do the things a race car does. But they're giving it hell, and I think it's worthwhile.
Well,
it's good for racing,
yeah.
and I'm going to be the last person to sit here and say, "Oh, they shouldn't race them," because I'm tired of waiting. If it's bringing people to the
Yeah.
track, bring it on.
They're what keeps
I
the
don't-
track going.
Yeah. Well, I always like to ask guys before we get done, and it being wintertime, What's something important guys need to be doing in the shop right now?
Well, you know, it's tough when we race. You know, I didn't get this car cleaned right away because it was so cold and freezing, but just getting everything cleaned up and going over every nut and bolt, making sure everything's freed up, all the heims, making sure there's no binds anywhere. You should be doing that during the year too, but you don't always have time to check it as thoroughly as you want.
Thoroughly, right.
You know?
Right now you got time to crawl all up under there.
There's no excuses now.
Right.
I think people think that that's too simple, but
It's the
it's
simple
the
things.
most important part. If you don't do that, nothing else matters.
This ain't rocket science. We're dirt drivers. We ain't NASA.
If you could go buy a $30,000 motor and it doesn't matter if your shock falls off,
Right.
or Heim brakes, or full
Right.
bar brakes, or something else goes wrong. So you got to do that. If you can do that over the winter, and you don't have to go, you don't have to rebuild everything, but you got to
Go through it.
go through it.
Get a flashlight. Look close at every weld.
And if you had any wrecks, I mean, I've come to find out, especially in cars like these, a little bit of a tweak in something, you could be fighting it and not realize that, there's a spindle that's bent.
Right.
You change a shock and change a spring, well, that didn't fix it either, it's no one making sure everything is squared up and the way it's supposed to be is important.
Right. And to know that, you got to have measurements to begin with.
Yeah, that's the best thing. When you win a race or your car runs really good, take it back home, get it on the concrete, get a measurement of everything.
Right.
Ride heights, wheelbases, everything.
Right.
Scale
Use
it.
Bob's formula. Bill, I don't care whose formula you use. Use somebody's formula and measure.
Yeah.
Just start measuring.
Yeah.
Just start measuring and writing it down
Yeah.
so that you can measure it again. I don't care where you measure.
No, it's it. It's however you want. The builder can only help you so much.
Right. Just start measuring.
They don't know if the car's bent or not. They can't tell you that.
If you know what it's supposed to be, then when something happens, you'll know it's not, that something's wrong.
Keeping good notes. Like I said, I still got notebooks from my other sidewinders and stuff like this from, 10 years ago that I go back to and look at to compare because the cars are still close enough that it works. But, keeping good notes
Right.
is.
Even though you're not a big race program, you don't have to have money to keep notes
Mm-mm.
and keep your
Costs you
stuff
nothing.
clean. I mean,
Yep.
you can roll out here with the garden hose and get the dirt blasted off.
Yep.
And, well, we got to get wrapped up. Before we go, and I appreciate you sitting with us, buddy.
No, I enjoyed it. I'm sorry it took so long to get it done, but I appreciate you. coming.
We've been after Ed for, I don't know, probably a year or something now to sit down and talk, and Josh was supposed to be here with us, so when you watch this, don't think we forgot, right? But who do you want to thank, man? I know you've been hard for help, but I know you've had people that have stood by your racing, and I want to make sure that you get the chance to thank them.
Every time I get a win, it's always thanking God first, by far. Without Him, none of this is possible. Next is my wife who lets me do this. When we started out, it wasn't her favorite thing. Probably still isn't her favorite thing. But she still goes and it supports me. She's the only one going with me now, and I love having her there with me.
How long have you been married?
94?
Long? As long as racing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Matter of fact, I roped her in. We kind of met before she knew I liked racing. And then she got exposed to racing afterwards. It was too late.
So then it was.
So, yeah, I got her.
I
But
think that's the way you got to do it.
Oh,
Because
it
I think
helps.
most of the rest of us dirt racers have been married 3 or 4 times.
yeah, no, she stuck through me all through that. But obviously, Josh has been instrumental in keeping everything going. He loves racing so much. He tries to get out of some cars, and he ends up having more cars, and he keeps us racing. And I wouldn't have been able to do all that I've been able to do without him. Other than Josh, I've never had any sponsor one. It's just people that want to help me. Let me race their cars.
Right.
Dawson Fisher and his dad. I drove their dwarf cars for them. Can't thank them enough for letting me do that. Except Bob Douglas is letting me drive the nicest Lightning Sprint that there ever been.
Right.
So those are the people that I'd like to thank for helping me do this.
All right. What series is the Lightning Sprint
It's
series?
the Midwest Lightning Sprints.
Midwest Lightning Sprints. Look out for Ed this summer, number 47.
I don't know what number it's gonna be, to be honest. We'll see. It's a red car.
Race car red. You
Yeah,
can't go wrong with
exactly.
that.
I've had one red race car in my life, so it'll be fun.
Well, now you're gonna have another one.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to watching you race, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna come catch you at Sweet Springs, and you guys don't forget to like and subscribe if you're still here. Come catch Ed this summer. You catch him with the Midwest Lightning Sprints. Catch him at Butler, I think, a couple times. Sweet Springs, and we'll be around at the racetracks.